What up, y'all? Doulos back in the building. Say what's on your mind. Hey, so I gotta share, what's been on my mind um in the last few minutes. Want to rush on here, get on there, get it out, flush it out. So you want to stick around for this video to the end, man, because I believe it's some encouragement and I believe it's a word for somebody. But all right, let's set this up. So the scenario is there's someone that you really want to help, right? They're in a bad situation. They don't necessarily believe in God, right? But they're just going through a hard time. And so I'm thinking in my mind, how could I encourage and give the gospel at the same time, right? And so I'm thinking back to the Garden of Eden, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, man, like there are a lot of times where we want God physically to come down and take us out of our situations. Like we literally want God to come and do that for us, right? But he doesn't. Because if he does, where would love be? And what I mean by that is, you see creation, right? You see God created the earth. He created the world. He saw that everything was good. And then God created man. And he created man in his image. And he put him on the earth. And he said, hey, this is yours. Be fruitful and multiply, right? So picture this. My main thought was, where would love be if he just created us to be mindless creatures, NPCs, robots, beings that just do whatever he says, whenever he says, no autonomy, right? And in a sense, to an extent, no thinking for yourself, no choosing. So the example I thought about was, let's say, and this is something you can do for yourself as an experiment. Grab one of your kids' figures, toys, Barbie, Soldier, whatever type of toys they have, and animate the toy, right? Play with the toy, not necessarily play with your own adult, right? But just imagine this is something that you've created, right? Now you have to animate it. Like you have to move its arm, you have to move its leg, you have to move its head, and you also have to pretend it's speaking, right? Now picture doing that forever. What type of relationship would that be? Like that's, if you really think about that, like that is extremely vivid. Like that is crazy. And that's what it would be. But because you are a being who loves perfectly, because you are a being who gives perfectly, what you do, you not only create this being, but you also impart and fill this being with not everything that you are, because you can't, right? You're the creator, but you give him most of what you are, most of your attributes. You give him the ability or her the ability to love. You give him or her the ability to think, right? And to relate and to conversate, so that after you've created, you come and visit with your creation, and the two of you can have an intelligent conversation. The two of you can relate back and forth. You can relate to your creation how much you love, and you can wait, and you can have them relate back to you the love they have for you, right? You give them the ability to choose. And so what God did was, he created the earth, he put us on it, and he said, be fruitful and multiply in it, right? It's yours. But Satan deceived, and we're fallen. And so now we have to live each and every day in this fallen world. But each and every day that we wake up, once again, is another day to make the choice to choose to love, choose to do right rather than wrong. Once again, like I know we want God just to come down and just wipe all the troubles, fears, and problems away. But he doesn't do that, because he created us in his image with the ability to choose. We can choose whether we would want to love him, or we can choose whether we don't love him. So atheists have the right to choose not to believe, right? In the same way that believers have the right to choose to believe. But we have to understand, we have the choice. And so even when in our worst moments, even when we think it's just done, there's nothing else, we must remember that we are where we are because of the choices we've made. Not only that, right? Some of us who grew up in the hood, in the projects, you know what I mean, around drugs and all that other crazy nonsense, we, in a very real sense, we suffer from the choices of those who went before us, whether it be our parents, our biological parents, mom and dad, whether it be just mom, whether it be just dad, or maybe we might be in a situation with grandparents, right? I was with my grandparents for a good part of my life. Maybe it's aunt, maybe it's uncle, right? And we're in these situations because of choices of others, because of the choices of others. But once we're old enough and we're whole adult and we can make a decision, we then have to choose to make different decisions. We then have to choose to do things differently so that those who come after us won't make or won't be in the same situation that we were in, right? So the whole point of what I was thinking about was, if we find ourselves in these situations, we have to know, we have to remember that our present is just a culmination of choices we've made in the past, right? It don't just happen to us, though that does happen. But ultimately, it's a result. As adults, it's a result of our choices. So if in that moment we would choose to love God, choose to follow him, choose to yield to him, then we will be able to find a way up or find a way out, right? Now, there are other ways out, but is it out for real? I mean, I don't think so. I think it's just out of one trap and into another, right? I mean, the whole message of the gospel says that God saw us where we were ultimately and where we were headed and didn't like it. And so he decided to do something to change that ultimately. And I mean ultimately, like for all of eternity. So we now have the choice each and every day to choose to do something different to change our circumstance, right? There are a lot of situations we get in that's super hard and we see no way out. But there is a way out. There is always a way out. There is always a way of escape. There is always another chance for you to make a different decision, for you to decide to go in a different direction. It's always a choice. Even after the consequence of something, no matter what it is, right? Even after the consequence, there is still a choice. So we make the choice to get in crazy debt. And then the debt collectors now, they're calling. They want their money. So worst case scenario, we get put out of our houses, out of our apartments. We're on the street. But that's based on the choices we made. So that at that point, once we're put out, we can make the choice and the decision to say, okay, this stops now. I'm going to become an adult in this moment, and I'm going to do whatever is necessary to get myself out of this situation. Or we can choose to stay there and wallow. And we know what happens with that. It's just downhill spiral from there, right? Or maybe we've committed a crime and now we're headed to jail. But if you're breathing and you wake up the next day, you can make a choice to do something different. You can change your life. And that's all by the power of love. God gives us the ability to choose. And we have to remember that. Everything is not going to be perfect. Obviously, we're falling, right? Eve was deceived in the garden. Adam followed suit. She ate, he ate. It was over after that. So now it is what it is. Can't go back there and change it. we must choose now to do something different, right? No matter what your situation, no matter whether you believe or not, you must choose now to make a different decision. You must choose to be different. Change starts here, right? Here. Let's think about the Hebrew idea of the mind, the bosom, right? Change starts in here. The heart, the bosom, the center of the innermost being, right? Where the thoughts, mind, and emotions all dwell. That's where change starts. And it slowly, day by day, works itself out. But there first must be a choice. Praise God for that choice. What if you didn't have it? So that's what I was thinking about. Just kind of want to encourage you. Like, it really doesn't matter what situation you're in. It doesn't matter what the situation is. If you walk away from that, no matter what it is, if you are able to lay your head down and wake up the next day and you're breathing, you still have the opportunity to make the choice to be different. Don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to continue to do the same things. You don't have to continue to go right. You can choose to go left, right? You can even about face, do a 180 and go the other direction. Got to keep that in mind. I got a podcast idea episode coming up and speaking about just the freedom in knowing the rules of the game. Yeah, I posted a quick post on that one day, but I'm thinking about just the freedom and restriction is what I came up with. I know some people are like, freedom and restriction, but I got a whole idea on how it's so freeing to first know the rules, right? You know the rules of the game. You know the game you're playing. You know where you are, and you can navigate freely in that space. It's freeing. It's freeing. It is. So that's what's on my mind. Doulos in the building. Love. What's on your mind? Yo, stay tuning in, stay tapping in. You know what I mean? So glad you stuck around, listening to my rant. What's on my mind? Just pray you're encouraged. You know, subscribe, hit the like, so you can stay in touch. You know what I mean? And what's on your mind?